Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Leader, and welcome to the Issues class here at Derry Church. I'm associated today with two of my colleagues from Country Meadows, Kristina Parmer and Jennifer Wolfe, who are marketers and counselors and admissions there at Country Meadows, which is a continuing retirement community. It's really licensed as a personal care facility, but it has a pretty wide range of services that we can provide. Today, our topic is going to be navigating the maze of senior living options, and boy, are there ever options. But I thought, since this is the Sunday school hour here at Derry Church, that we would start with some scriptural basis for our discussion here. And there's not a whole lot in the Bible about the elderly or seniors, but there are some things I found. In the book of Job, for instance, God explained to the Hebrews why older persons were to be respected. And that's a key word, respect, of course. In chapter 12, God said, "Is not wisdom found among the aged? Does not long life bring understanding?" We certainly hope that it does. Today, respect for older persons, wisdom and service is sometimes in doubt. Do we honor these qualities or merely give them lip service? In Leviticus chapter 19, God seems to be saying that respect for our seniors is tantamount to loving Him. That quote here is, that verse is, "Rise up in the presence of the aged, show respect for the elderly, and revere your God." So certainly respect is something that we hope will be in all retirement communities, in all pre-living situations, especially for older persons who have served our society so well. And that's something that we've had in our tagline at Country Meadows in the past, not right now, but we had independence, friendship, and respect was our tagline for many years. And we hope that we're continuing to provide that. Well, today we have a new electronic system here. We're trying it out, and we hope that everyone who is viewing this will view this class live or who will see it later on will benefit from this system. We have two screens here on the wall. One allows us to show the PowerPoint presentation to those who are present, as well as those who are watching online remotely. But also we can see anyone who comes in and is watching us from home. So if you want to ask a question, we're happy to have you do that. And if you're watching this in your bathrobe, you'll probably want to turn off the video. So many of us interested in senior living options grew up in the same era that I did. And we were in our youth in the 1950s and 1960s. And the options for senior living were far fewer in those days than they are today. I can remember I grew up in York County. Pleasant Acres was the county home. Remember that, Bill? And still is. County homes had been around for a long time. In some counties, probably for 125 years. They also were referred to sometimes as the poorhouse for people who may not have been able to afford to pay for support in their home. Maybe they didn't have a home, or perhaps they didn't have a family member to provide care when they reached the point where they needed that kind of support. County homes, as I said, were an early form of nursing homes. Later on in the 1970s, many of them became fully licensed skilled nursing facilities, and many counties still have those facilities functioning. Then there were privately owned nursing homes in the 50s and 60s. Often these were old or were residences, sometimes large residences, old mansions that were converted to a senior living facility. They sometimes had a one-story wing coming out the back or out the side, which was more modern than the building it started with. One of the problems with those facilities was that they were fire traps in some cases. They did not have sprinkler systems, or they were not a fire resistant construction, and there were some terrible tragedies before they became more highly regulated and safer. Then there was something that we still have, unlicensed boarding homes. There were no personal care homes, no assisted living facilities licensed at that time, but there were boarding homes. Again, in some cases, especially in the major metropolitan areas, pretty unsavory places. And Governor Schaap, prior to the licensure of the first personal care communities back in the 1970s, called them warehouses for the elderly. So there was also a way, there was also another group that cared for seniors and cared for others who needed care in the home. And that was the VNA, the Visiting Nurse Association. The Visiting Nurse Association, I think, has been around in many communities for over 100 years and still exists here in central Pennsylvania. At the time, and when I was growing up, they were not licensed, but they used licensed personnel in the sense that they employed registered nurses. But they have served many people well over the years. Home care, there was another class of people as well who provided care in the home, and that was they were called variously companions, housekeepers, home care aides, but they were not licensed, and in many cases they were not trained. I can remember my 90-year-old grandfather living in his home and being cared for by his housekeeper, who made the meals, who helped him with personal hygiene, and made sure he took his medications. There were very few rehabilitation facilities. We may know now that there are acute rehabilitation facilities in throughout the state, throughout the country. I would say there are probably at least 20 good ones here in Pennsylvania, but at the time, in the 1950s, and when I first got involved in senior living in the early 1970s, the three main ones were Moss and McKee Rehabilitation Hospitals in Philadelphia and Harmerville Rehabilitation Hospital in Pittsburgh, suburban Pittsburgh. There were no licensed home health agencies. When I refer to home health, I'm talking about skilled nursing care by registered nurses. No licensed home care providers. This is the unlicensed. This is the person who's not a registered nurse or a licensed practical nurse, but has received training and is licensed to care for people in their homes. No hospice. Hospice didn't come in. I'm not sure. I think it was hospice, I believe, didn't come into this country until in a major way until the 1970s. And we're going to talk a little bit about the CCRCs, continuing care retirement communities. The first continuing care retirement community in Pennsylvania was Folkways at Gwynedd in eastern Pennsylvania, and that didn't open until 1967, I believe. So there are a lot of reasons why people move into a senior living community of some sort, and I've covered a lot of them already in terms of the types that there are. But I just like to mention a couple of things that I think are great benefits from senior living. One of the challenges that people have, many people have as they age, is loneliness. At age 65, and I just boned up on some of these statistics, uh, already there are more people living in single households by themselves than there are people living, married couples living together. I think there was about 37% at age 65 who are married couples living independently in their household, and 42% of single people. That would be people who never married, people who are widowed, divorced, and what have you. People living apart. As people move into their 80s, that percentage of 42% increases to 58%. And projections are that the 5 million people currently over 80 living alone will increase, will mushroom really, to 10 million over the next 15 years. For many people, some people obviously they prefer to live alone, and they still have a pretty robust life, and we have people in their 90s who are still driving and still working, as my father did, who worked until age 95. But not everybody can do that, and life can get pretty closed in for many of those people, especially at a time of the year like this. It has something, it may have something to do with their comfort and their ability to drive, where they continue to have a driver's license and can get out. But sitting alone at home and just socializing on the phone or on the internet, sometimes I don't think is a good substitute for human contact. I believe, and I know you've heard me say this, that the number one benefit of assisted living and retirement living in general is socialization. It provides opportunity for people to socialize and make friends, and it's kind of hard not to socialize. You eat your meals, or the bulk of your meals. Not everybody eats all their meals at Country Meadows, but the main meals are in a group setting. Activities, fitness classes, spiritual activities, spiritual life are all ways that people get together. Our most popular activity at Country Meadows is happy hour. And it's not that people are coming for the alcohol, they're coming for the socialization. And it's great to see that. The other issue that I think brings many people to the realization that senior living is a good spot for them is safety. Safety, if you're over 65 as I am, and you've had an annual physical lately, one of the questions you're likely to have been asked is, have you fallen in the last year? And that is a key question, because I think 1 in 4 of us over 65 fall every year. And falls are, as we all know, can be a cause of serious injury and even death as we get older. And who doesn't have something in their home that can cause falls, whether it's that throw rug in the bathroom, or it's the washer and dryer in the basement, and the creaky stairway down to the basement, or sometimes it's the bedroom and bathroom on the second floor, and you've got a bum knee or bum hip, or perhaps the beginning of a progressive neurological disease that has impaired walking and stair climbing. Retirement communities can't guarantee that people are not going to fall, but they can be designed to reduce the risk of falling. And we can also offer some therapies, using the word broadly, to help people avoid falling by enrolling them in fitness classes so that they can maintain their muscle strength. If they need more than exercise and walking, keep fit. Many retirement communities, like Country Meadows, have on-site 5-day-a-week physical therapy and occupational therapy to treat injuries, but also to maximize people's ability. We have some exercise classes, like one that combines cognitive and physical activity. That's been proven to help people with Parkinson's, delay the progression of the illness, and our staff are trained in providing that. But safety, and if there is that fall that takes place, whether it's in the middle of the night or any time, we have the ability, and retirement communities are set up to have a response, to respond quickly with someone who is trained to assess and deal with, help the person deal with the problem. So that's reassuring, not only to the, it was reassuring to Karen and me when my father and mother were at Country Meadows in their 90s. And recently my sister-in-law was there, and who had several falls and who was treated for those falls quickly and successfully. So those are some of the things that bring people to senior living or have them consider it. Then there's all the reasons why people delay the decision. And I think the most interesting one is one that Karen and I experienced when we moved from our home in Hershey after 30 years, raising 4 kids, having so much stuff in the garage that we couldn't park our cars there. I have too much stuff. How would I ever sort through it all? And that is a legitimate concern. But just as, need produces support and assistance, there are individuals and who will help people, not just family members and daughters. Often falls to the daughter to give them a hand, but there are, I don't know if some of you know Ted Reese, who plays the trumpet in Derry Brass. Well, Ted's wife, Lori, has a business that helps people go through these things, sort through the stuff, and decide whether you're going to give it to a relative or a friend, give it to a travel organization, throw it out, but helps go through this, get people through this process to downsize their home. And it's a real blessing. And Lori's a great person to do that. But there's I have up here, I can't bear to live without my pet. My pet, dog, cat, or bird. Well, we do allow small pets, not St. Bernards, but at Country Meadows, and the pets are important. For those of us who are pet owners, we know how important continue to have your pet with you, and we can provide support for pet owners. We have a very nice dog park at Country Meadows of Hershey, as some of the other communities as well too. And whether the resident is walking the dog or we are, it's a pleasure to see how much enjoyment they bring to residents. And then the last one on the list up here, my favorite thing in the world is grocery shopping, cooking, and doing dishes. That is sometimes an obstacle we hear, right? I would not want to give up cooking. I love cooking. not speaking for myself, rhetorically, and the but we find that when people move, they quickly forget how much they love cooking and doing and shopping and doing dishes. And we can provide a kitchen or kitchenette so that people can continue to do cook favorite things, to do baking and do those things on more of an interim basis, holidays and so forth. We have a lovely resident at Country Meadows in the Colonnades who makes delicious pies. And every once in a while, she'll deliver a pie to me, but she makes a lot of pies, but she's not making all of her meals otherwise. She's eating in the dining room. We know how important good food is. And at any organization operating in a senior living community knows that, especially here in central Pennsylvania, but I think anywhere, how much we enjoy food and how important it is to socialization and satisfaction of the residents. So I have spoken for over 20 minutes. I never know. People say, well, my father was known for talking long periods of time, and I guess that went with being a politician. And I'm going to now turn this over to Kristina Parmer, and she's going to, as you may have seen, you have on your seat a brochure, and I'll let you describe it.
Right,
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's nice to be here on a Sunday morning to talk about senior living. Modern technology with the Zoom at church, wonderful. I am Kris Parmer, one of the directors of marketing at Country Meadows of Hershey, and my partner here, Jen Wolfe, is also a director of marketing as well. My goal here today is to provide you with simplified information about lifestyle options available to seniors, as well as the different care levels that are available if someone is no longer able to be independent. Guidance for making the right decision for you and your family. Michael touched on some of these items here, so I do have some slides similar to some of the things that Michael said, so I'll just skim over that part of it and get to the meat of it. About 1/3 of Americans older than 65 live alone, as do half of those over 85. Michael spoke about loneliness. Loneliness can accelerate cognitive decline in older adults, and isolated individuals are twice as likely to die prematurely as those with more robust social interactions. Jen and I saw a lot of that during and after COVID when people were stuck in their homes. We did get very many phone calls from family members saying, I can't believe what the last 2 years have done to my parents. They haven't been able to get out, socialize, their cognitive decline is very rapid. How can you help? So we know about loneliness and the need for social interactions. Medical challenges. Michael spoke about falls as well. 1 in 4 Americans age 65 and over fall each year. Every 11 seconds, an older adult is treated in the emergency room for a fall. Falls are the leading cause of fatal injury and the most common cause of non-fatal trauma-related hospital admissions among older adults. I'm excited to tell you, we have a new program at Country Meadows, talk about modern technology. You know, when you're on an airplane and or in your car and you have airbags, well, we have airbags for people to prevent falls. It's called a tango belt. So we are trialing it with some of our residents who are prone to fall. And it's like a belt put around your waist, and it senses when someone's about to fall. So an airbag can be deployed. So only the Leader family would come up with such innovative research and have Country Meadows trial these things out. So it's a wonderful thing that we're trialing. So kudos to the Leader family for finding those things out in the market. Other medical challenges are chronic illnesses. Jen, if you want to read just a short list of the chronic illnesses that Country Meadows is able to help you with.
So when we begin talking to somebody and begin the journey with them for long-term care, we do always ask if there's any major chronic illnesses, because that can affect the care and what could be the right fit for the prospect. So some of the chronic conditions are diabetes, stroke, dementia. We're seeing more and more dementia, more and more younger people, early onset dementia. Pain due to conditions like osteoarthritis or osteoporosis that can be really crippling to some people. Congestive heart failure, that's probably one of the biggest that we see on a regular basis, as well as COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. That's when, with a lot of these people, that's when we begin to see the edema in the legs. They begin to develop wounds, things like that. So if we can get them into our community and provide them with the clinical care that they need, they may not get to the point where their legs are so heavy or weeping. And then, of course, we can care for the wounds. People that have been isolated in the homes through COVID have certainly, not gone to the doctor as often. So they're coming to us, with wounds and things like that. And we can manage wounds, we can manage catheters. Dysphagia is a big one. That's a problem with swallowing that often leads, people start to get that as their acuity rises, especially people with cognition issues. They have trouble swallowing, need a special diet. We can meet those needs as well. Blood clots, incontinence, of course, and then impaired mobility. So we can meet all of these needs at Country Meadows in a personal care home with the clinical team that we have.
And no worries, we are going to get to the fun stuff. More than 54.5% of the senior population has at least one disability, and a significant number, 37.7%, has at least one severe disability. These numbers increase dramatically for seniors over 80 years old. Some reasons people might move into a community, which Michael touched on these as well. Maintenance-free living, desire to live closer to family. We see a lot of people who years ago have retired to Florida, and now they're getting older and they're coming back to town to be with their sons and daughters closer to family. A family's peace of mind and life changes. We also have independent, a very robust independent community at Country Meadows. Many people, families want their loved ones or husband and wife, they want to move somewhere where there are no hassles to take care of the house. An example, my husband and I live independently, but do not want the constant maintenance headaches of our current home ownership. We would like to find a place where we can socialize with others our age. This is very interesting because we have many sons and daughters who come to visit us for their moms and dads. And they say, can I move here? I don't want the home maintenance. And it seems like the younger generation, they're already not wanting to deal with mowing the yard. They're social and they want to travel and they want to do things. So, and I always say, if you can pay, you can play. We all work full time. My brother, sister, and I are investigating for our mother who's falling quite often. All of us work full time and cannot continue to attend to her physical needs. Family members, I'm afraid I'm not enough. My husband has Parkinson's disease and needs assistance with activities of daily living. I have been his caregiver for the past 2 years, and I'm concerned about my continuing ability to care for him. We are seeking a place where we can be together and have our individual needs met. Nice thing about Country Meadows is that when couples come to our community, we want to keep couples together. So I don't know of many other communities, if you're an independent living husband and you have a wife who needs dementia care, I don't know of any other community where you can live together, you being independent and your wife getting the dementia care that she needs. So it's very important that we keep couples together. I don't know where to begin. How many of you are familiar with senior living options? Michael, you are. Very good. So there's a lot of words, a lot of new language you need to learn when you start looking into senior living options. I'm in need of information about assisted living with memory support for my grandfather. I don't believe he can live by himself any longer. I just don't know where to begin. So that's where Jen and I come to work. That's what we are here to do. So we have many different types of care. There's many different types of senior living options out in the community as well. We are considered a personal care home where we have a monthly rental agreement. So I remember your father always said, you save and you put your money away and you invest it all during your lifetime. This is not the time in your life to be investing in a community. This is the time in your life to keep your money in the bank, to keep your money in your investments, pay a monthly rent. Okay, so we are a rental community. If you wanted to move out from our community, all we need is a written 30-day notice. So there's no big buy-in. You don't have to give $100,000 to $300,000 up front and risk that being lost when you move in. So it's a really nice way of living. So there are also what's called CCRCs, continuing care retirement communities. These are, one that comes to mind is Masonic Homes, big sprawling community. They have independent living, assisted living, and nursing home care as well. You pay a large, now things are changing in senior living options. So they're trying to get the majority of the people who want to live in personal care homes, trying to figure out what kind of deals can be made to have those people move to CCRCs without the long-term commitment, but it's still not the same as moving to a personal care home. So you'll have a large buy-in, $100,000 to $300,000 sometimes. I know Willow Valley in Lancaster, beautiful place, $350,000 to get into a community. And then you pay a monthly rental fee as well. And they say when you live, you can stay here as long as it takes. If you run out of money, you can still stay here. Well, you've also given them $100,000 to $300,000 of your money as well. So those types of places are good if you're moving into a community when you're 60 to 70 years old. But if you're older, the monthly rental community really is a good place to start looking. Anything to add to that, Michael, or are you?
No, and I think our goal here is not to say that one is better than the other. They all have pros and cons, and we want to help you become acquainted with the options available, as well as Country Meadows. So we try to, not everyone wants or needs or is attracted to to personal care. And by the way, personal care and assisted living are very close to each other. Personal care was approved by the state in the early 1980s. And it wasn't until 2011 that we had something called assisted living licensed here in Pennsylvania. And while they're, as I say, they're similar, but not quite the same. We believe that each one has some advantages, and our counselors, I call you not just marketers but counselors, want to help people who come to them find the right option for themselves. So it's not a case of convincing someone to move to a Country Meadows facility at all costs, but helping them find the place that's right for them, both price-wise and service with the services offered.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So there's lots of different places out there, lots of different programs, and it's our job to tell you what's available. And if Country Meadows isn't the right place, we can help guide you what might be a better fit for you. So, and there's a lot of paperwork that you can look at, a lot of brochures that can be sent to you, but it's about a feeling. It's about how you feel when you're at a community. So you can look at the cost, what's included and so forth. But when you go to a community, it's a feeling that you get. Does this feel good to me? Does this feel like a place that I could fit in? Do the other residents, are they like me? Could I see them being my friends? So Jen and I are here to guide you through that.
You're going to talk about ecumenical?
I wasn't, but you're welcome.
Well, I'm just saying, we also manage a personal care community in Susquehanna Township known as Ecumenical Community. Some of you may have heard of Ecumenical Community. It's a not-for-profit. My father was one of the founders of the Ecumenical Community. It's independent of Country Meadows. We manage it under contract with its board of trustees. An Ecumenical Community has somewhat lower rental rates, in part due to the fact that it has financing through Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency, and does accept residents who have nothing more than supplemental security income, SSI, with state supplement on top of that. So one of the things that we can do, and I'm referring to the fact that if someone comes to Country Meadows and it's clear that they are not able to afford personal care at Country Meadows at Hershey, for instance, we can refer them to another community, such as Ecumenical Community, and help them find a place that works for them.
Thank you. Independent living. As I was mentioning, we have a very robust and social independent living community at Country Meadows. Many senior living communities now look like resorts. Michael was talking about the boarding homes and nursing homes in the I was going to say olden days. I won't say olden days. We've come a long way, baby, right? Independent living at Country Meadows offers, these are some nice pictures there on the screen of our Zoom people. Independent living at Country Meadows offers your breakfast and your dinner. We offer transportation to local doctor's appointments, banking, shopping, but obviously you can have your car there. Of course, come and go as you please. But in the winter time, when we get a nice snow, Michael personally will come over and move your car out of its spot and clean the snow off the driveway and clean your car off.
I'm semi-retired now.
Yeah. No, we'll take care of your car when we get a good amount of snow. But then again, you don't need to go anywhere because we'll take you where you need to go. We have been providing transportation to churches on Sunday. Since COVID, that's changed a little bit, but we're working on getting that going again. And I know we had a good amount of people, residents who did get the bus to come to Derry Presbyterian Church on Sundays. We cover your weekly housekeeping. So we'll clean your apartment once a week. We have many ladies there who'd like to do their own cleaning, and that's okay too. We have many social programs, physical programs, fitness programs, I should say, educational programs, happy hour from 3:30 till dinner time almost every day. We have a bocce court. We also have a walking path. And for those of you that want to bring your pet along, because we know your pets are like children, like your children. I have a golden retriever and he's like my child. So we have a dog park at Country Meadows as well. So lots of things going on. We also have 24/7 emergency call bell system. We recognize you're independent, you're doing your own thing, but if there's anything that happens overnight in your apartment, ring your call bell, and our nurses from our main building, who we have nurses on staff 24 hours a day, will come over and see how they can help. Of course, in a 911 situation, pick up the phone and call 911. We also have personal care at Country Meadows. Our personal care is if you need help with medications, if you need help with light dressing, if you need your TEDs put on, if you need maybe help with safety in the shower. Those are things that personal care can cover. Also with personal care, we have a great program for those who are experiencing the early memory loss. So maybe someone who used to go to bingo now no longer goes to bingo because they don't know how to play the game anymore. And their friends are saying, what's going on? What's going on? You have a bingo there. So what happens? They become recluse and stay in their apartment because they realize they're not keeping up with the rest of their peers. So we have it's called the Connections Club for those people who have early memory loss signs. It's kind of like having a personal secretary to help guide you through your day. Instead of getting an activity sheet of everything that happens for the week, this is the activity sheet for today. This is what's happening today. So it brings comfort to that resident who is experiencing the signs of early memory loss. And as far as I know, there aren't any other communities that have that program. We also have secure dementia care as well. We have been in the dementia business for well over 30 years, and we do feel that we are the leaders when it comes to dementia care. So that's the memory care. We also have a restorative care program, short-term and long-term. So if you or a loved one go to the hospital and the hospital says, oh, you're ready to discharge home, or you go to rehab and rehab is ready to discharge you back home, and you and your family start panicking and say, oh my gosh, I'm not ready to go home. I can't manage this. Or my daughter can't be with me 24 hours a day. She works. We do have short-term stays at Country Meadows as well. So just keep that in mind for the future and give Jen or I a call if you or someone you know needs some short-term care after going home. We also have long-term restorative care as well. Those with chronic illnesses that we manage on a daily basis. We have therapy. Therapy is for independent living or residents needing care. We have physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. And we have pet therapy as well. Skilled nursing. So at Country Meadows, we are a home-like setting. We keep about 80 to 90% of our residents with us until end of life. So not everybody needs a nursing home at the end of life. We are a private pay community. So in the state of Pennsylvania, if you need Medicaid services, that would be at a nursing home. We also have, proud to say, our own hospice company that we began a few years ago. So when someone's at the end of life and needing that end of life service, it's very important for the team of the senior living community that you're living with, that clinical team, to have good communication with the hospice clinical team, just to make sure everything is smooth. Everybody knows what part of the care they're taking care of. with each person. So we started our own hospice company a few years ago, and it's working very, very well. Of course, it is your right to choose what hospice company you or your loved one would want at end of life care. But we do have Lifesong Country Meadows Hospice for you to choose as well. And then we'll get to the cost very shortly. These are some other things that come into account: veterans aid and attendance pension programs. If you're in personal care and you are a veteran and you served during wartime, there may be benefits, financial benefits available to you, which we can talk to you about that when you come to see us at Country Meadows. PACE and PACEnet prescription assistance, that's with your healthcare services. Long-term care insurance. There are many people that have bought a long-term care insurance policy. We do have about 15 to 20% maybe of our residents who are living there with a long-term care insurance policy. Insurance companies aren't selling them as much as they have been in the past because people are living longer. So they're not doing that or not issuing policies that are as strong as what they used to be. Shared accommodations. We also have shared rooms that financially, if it's something that is needed, we do have shared accommodations as well. Medicare Supplement, Medicare Advantage, and Medicare Part D coverage. That's in the health insurance realm of things. Rent rebates, converting life insurance into long-term care benefits. If those of you who have life insurance, many people bought, $200,000 life insurance policies in case they pass away, for their young children to be taken care of should they pass away. Well, when you're older and there's no one that you need to financially take care of, there may be an instance where you can cash in your life insurance policy, and that's something that you can speak to your life insurance agent for. Federal income tax deductions for personal care or assisted living. That may be available, and we advise you to see your tax person to discuss that. Some emotional reasons why you might decide not to move to a community. And mind you, only 12% of the seniors want to move to a community. 88% of people say, I'm living in my house until the end of life. So if that's how you feel, you're in the majority of people. But we do ask that you come and see us, because sometimes what people have in their mind of a senior living community is not what it is. Okay. So the first one is reluctance. And Jen's going to read a little sample of reluctance.
Oftentimes people feel that they're not ready. They think that they're doing fine on their own. They like their home. They dig their heels in, and they just don't want to leave their home because they feel they've gotten the supports that they need with their family, potentially helping them.
And reluctance becomes happiness if you move to a senior living community.
We hope.
We hope. Yes, we hope.
Oftentimes when people get there, I think one of the biggest things that we hear is, why didn't I do this sooner? I'm so happy here now. I have the time to do the things that I wanted to do to enjoy life. I don't have to cook and do, change my bed linens, do all of those things. So they start to really enjoy life.
Pride.
There's something about leaving your home and giving up your home that is really, really hard to do. One of the big things we talk about is home is in your heart. It's not a place. It's a feeling that you have. It goes back to what Chris spoke on, and walking into a community and really truly feeling the love there. And that's what makes all the difference. And people don't want to leave their homes.
Guess what pride becomes?
Satisfaction. Once you feel your purpose in life again, that's a big part, is that people lose their purpose. Michael mentioned our one resident who bakes the pies. Alma is what, 96? She bakes at least 4 pies a week from scratch. She's very hard of hearing, and that's her purpose in life. I mean, that is what she does each week to feel like she's part of our community, and that's really special. Defeat. People think when they give up their home that maybe they're taking their next step, you know, towards the end, that we're defeated, I'm going into a home. You know, it's not the typical setting of what it was years ago, of what people have in their mind. And oftentimes people tend to live more vibrant, healthy lives once they come with us.
And that becomes hope.
Our residents become more independent because they're not relying on their families as much, you know, and they feel just more satisfaction with their life because they feel they're more independent, just because they have an easy walk-in shower versus stepping up over a bathtub to get in and out, and they feel safe.
And then there's denial. We'll get through this quickly because there's questions and so forth. We want to.
People think they can still do things in their home,
Mhm.
but they may not actually be able to do those. And when they come into a community, they're assured that somebody will be there to take care of them.
Unaffordability.
You know, your house is paid for. That's a huge asset. But as Governor always said, you know, you save and save and save. And this is what that money is for. People are really surprised at the different programs that are out there to help people pay or give them tax credits and things like that.
And that becomes affordability.
Yep. When you add up all of the expenses that you have in your home, paying to maintain the home, it's certainly not that big of a difference coming into a community.
And the big one is guilt.
Yes. Often the caregivers are the ones who feel guilty to, you know, give up that undertaking and move their loved one into a community.
And that becomes relief.
Because the children get to become the son or daughter again, not necessarily be the caregiver anymore and have that caregiver burnout.
Good, thank you. Why did I wait so long to move in? A common resident comment. Assess your situation and find the best fit. And I need to back up because I spoke about Masonic Homes, I spoke about Willow Valley, and let me say, beautiful communities, absolutely beautiful communities, absolutely. And they do a good job of caring for their residents as well. So wanted to put that plug in that there are many, many wonderful senior living communities. And Jen and I work with the marketers from other communities as well, because we might have questions. You might visit us and have some questions, and we'd be happy to call and find those answers out for you. So we all work together, okay? So we talked about independent living, assisted living and personal care, memory care, and restorative care. Practical considerations that people use when thinking about this: proximity to family and friends, visiting hours, which at Country Meadows, you can visit your family whenever you like. If you want us to put visiting hours out there and tell some of your family members visiting hours, we can do that for you too.
You can run interference.
We say whatever the visiting hours were when you were home, that could be the visiting hours here. Recent state inspection scores, they are on the Internet Department of Health that you're able to look into that. Transportation options and availability. As far as the rates go, you want to know what's not included in a monthly rate. Quality measures. These are some of the things that you also should be looking for when you visit communities, things that are important for you. I do want to talk about the monthly rates because we're going to real quick.
Well, I'm thinking that, you know, with as we approach 10 o'clock here, we probably should break for some questions, Chris. One of the big misconceptions among a lot of people when they're looking at senior living is what Medicare will pay for. And I just want to say, Medicare basically pays for a stay in a skilled nursing facility. Medicare
does not pay other than for therapies, the same kind of Medicare Part B types of coverage that you would get if you were living in your home and you had to go to the doctor, or you need to have some physical therapy treatments. It does not pay for a stay in an assisted living community or a personal care home. And there is no medical assistance or Medicaid payment for either assisted living, personal care, or independent living. Some states do provide that. So, if you're coming from a different state or talking to someone from a different state, some states do have some medical assistance, what's called medical assistance waiver programs for people who are run out of funds or low income at the assisted living level, but not here in Pennsylvania. Although that's something that's been proposed to the new administration in Harrisburg. The one that you mentioned, I think it's very interesting for those of you who are veterans, who have served during time of war, not a combat veteran necessarily, but served in the military during time of war with some financial qualifications, but not, total destitute. You can get a type of support from the Veterans Administration for assisted living. So that's something that we help residents explore if we find that they're eligible for it. So you've done a great job. Thank you very much, and Jen and Kristina. And let's see if there's some questions that we can. Jack.
There's, as I understand, there's only a few licensed, what do you want to say, nursing homes in Pennsylvania.
Over 700
That nursing homes?
skilled nursing facilities. Yeah.
Okay, then my question probably is not, I thought there was a few that were actually qualified, because I was thinking to go from a facility that's not a nursing home to a nursing home, are there relationships between those facilities?
In some cases there are. I'm thinking about the places that are continuing care retirement communities where a Willow Valley or Masonic has a relationship with the nursing center and the other levels of care there. But in most cases, they are what we refer to as fee for service. You pay for the services you've received there, and the relationships are simply really between communities like Country Meadows and the admissions team at Masonic Village, Willow Valley, or another skilled nursing facility to help people make that transition and consider that transition. Most nursing homes, even places like Willow Valley and well, certainly Masonic, have beds available term that you can pay for through fee for service, just for on a day-to-day basis.
I was just looking at the necessity to go from one long-term care facility to have to go to a nursing home. Are they able to easily do that or not? That's what I was looking for.
Well, based on the assessment, the physical and cognitive assessment of the resident, that is what really determines. And so we're used to doing assessments of people who are in a nursing home who want to come to an assisted living or personal care community. We assess them to see if we can provide them the services they need. And the same thing is true when someone needs additional support. The nursing centers, the clinical staff would assess the person as well, whether it's in their home or in another residential community.
I was thinking in terms of availability, to go from one to another. Will there be places available or rooms available for people who now need nursing care? I didn't know whether that was sort of
there. We can generally help someone find that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We have a lot of relationships, within the industry where we, Chris and I, if we know that somebody needs a little bit more care and they need to go to a skilled facility, we reach out, to the other social workers or admissions directors and help coordinate that. As far as timeframes, sometimes, it's not going to happen overnight. But like Michael said, there's always beds available.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, I think we've reached the witching hour here. It's 10 o'clock. Thank you so much,
You're
Chris
welcome.
and Jen. And thank you for attending today. And if some people watch this later on the video, they're welcome to call us at Country Meadows in Hershey, and we'll try to answer any questions they may have.
Thank
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'd love to show you around. Yeah.
So you're going to turn this